Good day, ladies and gents. All right, so we are just now starting Unit 8, which is on 2D shapes. Okay, so before we start, let's make sure we have down the equations. So this right here, this is a triangle, and please notice that bases and heights. So the base and height always has to be at a 90-degree angle. Base and height are always at a 90-degree angle. Very important. All right, so this is a triangle. So that right there is a triangle, and that would be 1/2 base times height. 1/2 base times height. Okay, and that would be the area. Okay, so for a trapezoid, so this is a trapezoid. So for a trapezoid, it's 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. But I like to do the average of the bases times the height. That's my personal preference. Okay, so basically everything is base times height. That's basically what everything is. So because a rectangle is base times height, as we know, right? So length times width, will just call it base times height. That's it, base times height. Pretty simple, right? Well, a triangle is half of a rectangle, so it's 1/2 base times height. Now for a trapezoid, basically we're averaging the two bases. So these two sides, you average them, boop, and it kind of lines up to make a rectangle. So when you average them, they kind of balance out and they make a rectangle. So it's the average of the bases times height. So once again, this really is base times height. For a parallelogram, so these sides are parallel and these sides are parallel. So for a parallelogram, once again, it is base times height as long as they meet at a right angle. Okay, for a rectangle, you can say length times width, but let's just call it base times height. Why reinvent the wheel? And then for a square, yes, it is side squared, or in other words, area equals the base times the height. And it just happens to be that the base and the height are equal to each other. Look, if you're already memorizing base times height on everything else, why reinvent the wheel? Just keep that going, base times height. A triangle is 1/2 base times height, and then a trapezoid is the average of the bases times the height. So that's basically it. All right, so if you just keep that in mind, everything falls into place. Okay, so first of all, for number one, what kind of shape is this? Well, first of all, this is a triangle. So let's go ahead and identify that. So with that, we know that we're looking for area equals 1/2 base times height. That is what we're trying to do. So area equals 1/2 base times height. Right? I didn't have to put those in parentheses. Sorry about that. All right, so 1/2. Now, what was your base? So this would be your base, and this is your height. So that'd be 15 times the height of the shape, which is 21.3. So your base is 15, your height is 21.3. Okay, and then all you have to do now is put that into the calculator. So 0.5, or 1/2, times 15 times 21.3, you put that in the calculator, you get 159.75. And they said to round to nearest hundredth. How many zeros does 100 have? 2, so you're going 2 decimal places. Oh, we're already there, so that is our final answer. And you just try to keep everything lined up as much as possible. Okay, so that was number 1. Let's go to number 2. Number 2, that is a parallelogram. So that's a parallelogram, and the equation for parallelogram is area equals base times height. So area equals base times height. So we're looking for the right angle. So we're looking at these. So one of them is going to be the base, and the other one's the height. So the base is 12.9, and the height is 7.1. Okay, you put those in the calculator, 12.9 times 7.1, and we pop out with 91.59. Round to nearest hundredth, we're already there. So that is your final answer because we go to 2 decimal places. All right, keep going. All right, so for this right here is a trapezoid. Now, we always want our bases to be parallel. We want the bases, well, not parallel, sorry, horizontal. We want bases to be horizontal. And when we do that, everything falls into place. So we want our bases to be horizontal, and here we go. So here are our bases, base 1 and base 2. So we had two bases. So with that, so this is our up now. This is our up for number 5. So having it look like this, these are your two bases. This one and this one are your two bases. And then this right here will be your height. All right, so we have area equals base 1 plus base 2 all over 2 times your height. Okay, so our bases were, it doesn't matter which one's which, were 38 and 13, or vice versa, divided by 2, times your height, which was 32.7. There you go. Now you can actually see it. Okay, so you need to make sure that you add these together. 38 plus 13 equals, which is 51. Now divide by 2. So make sure that you get 25.5. Actually plug this in your calculator. You need to make sure you're using your calculator correctly. All right, so 25.5 would be the average of your bases. So that would be your average of your bases, and this right here would be your height, 32.7. So basically what we're saying is that if we average this, it would balance out to be a rectangle. So if this balanced out, this would be a rectangle that would be 25.5 by 32.7. Sorry, I ran out of room. So 32.7. So that's what we're saying, that these would balance out to make a rectangle that is a 25.5 and a 32.7. So that's what we're saying. Okay, so now actually multiply it together, 32.7 by 25.5, and we get 833.85. We just keep happening to get hundredths, and that is our final answer. So the average of our bases was 25.5, our height was 32.7, and our area was 833.85. Okay, so and this was a trapezoid. All right, serves that problem. And notice that we did everything to the side, like sideways, so because this is how we're going to be looking at our problem to make sense out of it. Okay, now number 3. This is a triangle. Okay, so once again, I want the base. So the base is not all the way across, it's what the solid part is. So this is the base, and this is the height of the door. So this is the base, and this is the height of the door. So area equals 1/2 base times height. So we have 1/2, our base is 29.5, and our height is 14. Okay, so 0.5 times 29.5 times 14, and we get 206.5. They said to the nearest hundredth. So we only went to the nearest tenth, which is fine. So this is your answer. Now, 206.50 is technically correct, but this is your better answer. So 206.5 is your better answer. All right, let's go to number 4. Okay, so this is a parallelogram. So it's a parallelogram, which means that area equals base times height. And remember, the base and the height always at a 90-degree angle. So we want the solid part. So this is your base, and this right here is your height. Because those, so I don't care where the door is, the height of the door. The door could be way over here for all we care. That's the height of the door, but the base is where the solid part is. So, so the base, so what is solid? Okay, so our base is 11.8, and the height of the door is 16.1. All right, so 11.8 times 16.1, you put that in the calculator, get 189.98. That's already to the nearest hundredth. We just keep looking out right now. And there's our answer. Okay, and number 6. Okay, so this is where it starts getting interesting. Okay, so what we have here is that we have our bases right here, but we're missing our height. We are missing our height. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. So we're missing this part right here, but you see how we're making a triangle? Okay, so if I make it over here too, I know that this distance right here is the same thing as down here. So this is 7. Now, if all of this is 19, if this is 7, so 19 minus 7, I have 12 left over. So if I have 12 left over, and you see how these two sides are equal, so that means that these two little legs would be equal. So this would have to be 6 and 6 in order to make a total of 19. So one more time. So I know that this is 7 because this is 7 because we're trying to make a rectangle, right? And then I know if all this is 19, if I already use 7, I have 12 left over, so this would have to be 6, and that would have to be 6. Okay, so now let's focus on just this rectangle, this triangle. So focus just on this triangle. I know this is 6, this is 10, and this will be the height. So we need to go find that height. Okay, so a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Put your finger on the right angle, and the two sides you're touching are a and b. It doesn't matter which one's which. So if I go 6 squared plus h squared equals the one side you're not touching, 10 squared. That is 36 plus h squared equals 100. H squared equals 64. H equals 8. So our height is really 8. Where did we get that? We got that from all this. So we had to do this little bubble thought, this sub problem, before we can actually answer this. So that is our height. Okay, now this is a trapezoid. And we know that area equals the average of the bases times the height. So base times height, basically. Equals the bases, which were 19 and 7, or vice versa, times the height, which was 8. 19 plus 7 is 26 divided by 2. So our averages are 13. So that is 13 times 8. So the average of our bases is 13 times 8. And you pop out with 104. So that is your answer. So 104. Fantastico. All right. So hopefully you're getting the main idea of this. All right, let's go ahead and go to page 3. Going to page 3. All right, let's keep going. All right. So on page 3, interesting. All right, so let's just keep going. Okay, so on page 3, we have this. All right, so this right here is a triangle. So this is a triangle, so that is area equals 1/2 base times height. So now they have to be at a right angle to each other, the base and height. Now, so here is the base. Uh-oh, we're missing the height. So we are missing the height. So before we can find this, before we can find the area, we need to find the height. So we can do Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Put your finger on the right angle. The two sides you're touching are a and b. So 7 squared plus h squared equals the one side you're not touching, 8.2 squared. 7 squared is 49 plus h squared equals 18.2 squared, 331.24. Subtract 49. H squared equals 282.24. Okay, square both sides, and we get h is equal to 16.8. So that's our little bubble thought we had to start with in order to find the height. So this is really 16.8. All right, now we can do this. So it's 1/2, our base, which was 7, our height, which is 16.8. So 0.5, which is 1/2, times 7 times 16.8, you put that in the calculator, you get 58.8. Fantastico. All right, let's keep going. Number 2. Number 2, this right here is a parallelogram. All right, so we have area equals base times height. So here's the base, here's the height, because they're at right angles to each other. So the base was 21 and the height was 33. So we need to make sure that we're putting in the right base and height or everything messes up. So we want to make sure that's right. 21 times 33, and we get 693. And there's our answer. Now they said to round to nearest 100th if need to, but we're just going to keep it going like this. All right. Okay, now number 3. Okay, so we want to turn this so that the right angles, so the base and the height are horizontal and vertical to us. So here's the base, here's the height. So this is a parallelogram. Area equals base times height. The base was 19, the height is 7.8. You put that in the calculator, 19 times 7.8. We pop out with 148.2. 148.2. And there's your final answer. Perfect. So if we were saying to round to nearest 100th, that's fine. So 148.20 is correct. However, 0.2 would be the better answer. Awesome. Okay, number 4. Okay, so this is a trapezoid, meaning that 2 sides are parallel and the other 2 are doing whatever they want. So 2 sides are parallel and the other 2 are doing whatever they want. So we want our bases to be horizontal to us. That will save us a lot of hassle. So this is a trapezoid. Okay, where our bases are 7 and 13, and oh look, here's the right angle. Here is our height. There we go. So area equals the average of the bases divided by, so base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. So average of the bases times the height. All right, so our bases were 7 and 13. So 7 plus 13 all over 2 times your height, which was 5. Okay, so 7 plus 13 equals, and then divide that by 2, you get 10. A lot of people get this wrong because they do 7 plus 13 divided by 2, and they would get 13.5, which is not 13.5. It's not 13.5. You have to make sure that you don't do this. This is wrong. What you did was you did 7 plus whatever half of 13 is. You need to do 7 plus 13, then divide by 2. See the difference? So this is wrong. This is right. Wrong, right. So 7 plus 13 equals 20. Now divide by 2 and we get 10. So make sure that you're doing that correctly. Okay, times the 5 and you get 50. And that is your final answer. Awesome, 2 more problems. Okay, so number 5. Number 5, we have a triangle. This is a triangle. All right, so here's the right angle. So this would be your base, just this part, and this would be your height. So area equals 1/2 base times height. That is 1/2 20.4 times 14.6. Put that in your calculator. So 0.5, that's what a half is. So 0.5 times 20.4 times 14.6. We pop out with this decimal. 148.92, and there's our answer. All right, last problem, guys. All right, number 6. Okay, so on this one, so we have the base, but we need this height. We have our base, but we need our height. Okay, so we can make a right angle out of this. And I know that this is 13 and this is 13. Because this and this would have to be equal to each other because your arms are equal, right? Okay, so before we start this, we need to find the height. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Put your finger on the right angle. So what we're doing is, this is 13, this is 30, and we're looking for the height. We'll zoom in just a little more. All right, so put your finger on the right angle. We have 13 squared plus h squared equals 30 squared. 13 squared, we get 169 plus h squared equals 30 squared, which is 900. Subtract 169 from both sides. H squared equals 731. Square root both sides, and we get this big long decimal. So the square root of 731, we get this big long decimal. Now you want to work with that big long decimal. But in the more decimal places you go, the safer you'll be. But for now, we're just going to go to the nearest thousandth. So that would be h is equal to 27.037. And there's a bunch of other digits after that, but we're just going to use that. Okay, so that is our height. Okay, so 27 point and a bunch of stuff after that. All right, so this is a triangle. We're doing one area equals 1/2 base times height. And then we're going to okay. So please ignore that there's stuff over here. There's nothing. We're not going to do that. Okay, so area equals 1/2. Your base. Now, what was that entire distance? Was 26. And our height was 27.037. There's a bunch of other digits, but we're good with that. Okay, so with that, put in your calculator. So 0.5 times 26 times, now while we're doing the work, we really want to use that big long decimal. 27.037, and there were a bunch of other digits after that. So let's see, it was the square root of 731. Okay, so we have this big long decimal right here. So times 0.5 times 26, and really we got this answer. So 351.4811517. Now, if you just used 3 decimal places, you would have not been as awesome. But 0.5 times 26 times 27.037. So look, 481, and then it would be a 0. But on this case, so the more decimal places you go, the safer you'll be. So, but in our answer to nearest 100, that's 351.48. So we still would have gotten the right answer. And that's it. And we are good. So those were our notes here. Oh, we are going to do this last question. Whoopsies. Okay, so this last question. I just ran out of room. So let's see. So Mr. Payton would like to paint his deck. The dimensions of this is 72 feet. Here's the real question. Here you go. All right. So cover 72 square feet, right? Okay. How many cans will he need to make this coat? All right. So so this is just a word problem. You know what? We don't care about this. So we're just not going to do that. We're just not going to do that problem. That's totally fine. We're just going to stop right there. And that's it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful and glorious day.